Hello everybody and welcome to the Royal Chess YouTube channel. My name is David Kanovsky and this is the part 3 of my serial about endgames of opposite card bishops. Today I would like to show you two positions, two endgames, one theoretical position and one practical example from the game of Robert James Fischer, so one of the ex-world champions. So first of all, one important theoretical position, and this is this one. As you can see, this is a position with two pawns up for white in here, of course with opposite card bishops on the board, and without b pawns on the board, the position would be of course an easy draw for black, because with only G and H pawn, black can easily make a drawing position, which we already know from part 2. So with king on H7 and bishop on F7, or even better idea is to play king F7, then bishop C2, and with bishop on diagonal B1 H7, and there is absolutely no way for white how to make any progress. But of course with b pawns on the board, that is a big difference, because black cannot make a draw with this idea, because of course after G5 and G6, if black is taken on G6 and sacrificing bishop for two white pawns, white is easily winning thanks to his b pawn on the board. So here black should make a much different defending idea, and as I have mentioned, this is a really important position, because in general throughout endgames with opposite card bishops, passive defense is just absolutely okay for weaker side, because many endgames with opposite card bishops, as I've mentioned, you can draw by making something like a fortress and just waiting. But here black cannot wait. Here this is one of the let's say rare examples where weaker side needs to be active, so needs to make an active defense to make a draw. So the right way how to play this position by black is to play bishop d1. From d1 or from this diagonal, black is protecting in fact both pawns at the moment. White cannot play g5, and of course after h6 black is just playing king h7, bishop c2, and that's an easy draw. So white has to play king h4, and now of course his idea is to play g5, g6 and king g5, and still it seems that black cannot protect this idea. But one way is existing here, and it is after king f7, g5 you have to play king e6, and after g6 king f5. And this is really very nice defending idea, very interesting one, that in fact you have king protecting white pawns from going forwards, and you go with your king behind the pawns, so not protecting them. But it is much more important in here to protect white king from playing king g5, and here white cannot make any progress, because now his king is protected, or better say king is protecting pawn on h5, so in fact he cannot move, because then of course black bishop would take on h5. But for example after g7, bishop is just going back on b3, and for example after h6, king g6, it is of course a clear draw, because black is just playing king h7, bishop c4, and with connected pawns on dark squares in here with white dark colored bishop. There is no way how to move on throughout h7 and g8 squares, because there are of course light squares. So this is really very important idea, how to defend this kind of position. And now we can see and discuss one practical example. And as I have mentioned, this is the position from the game Edgar Walter against Robert James Fisher in 1959, sorry. And Robert James Fisher, of course, let's say young Fisher, because in 1959 it was still far away from his match in 1970 and taking the title of world champion. So of course he's playing for a draw in here. We can see the situation very similar to the previous one. So white is having two connected pawns, and of course there are another pawns on h5. But of course the situation is a bit different in here. And there is one really important thing which is needed to be mentioned in here, that h3 pawn is promoting on h8 square, which is black square, and of course white is having white card bishop in here. So in fact the idea by black how to defend this position is quite easy: to sacrifice his bishop for two connected white pawns, and then of course black is easily winning by just going into the corner by his king. But of course quite a precise play is needed in here, and Fischer already made a mistake. The right way how to play was bishop f4, and after b4 immediately attack white pawn from behind by bishop d2, and after a3 bishop c1 another attack, and after a4 bishop d2, and for example after king c5 king d7 followed by king c7 and king b5 and bishop e1. In fact we have exactly the same defending idea as we have seen in the previous example. So here black bishop is nicely attacking both white pawns on b4 and a5. White has to play king a4 in here to go farther, but we already know what should happen in here. After bishop d2 b5, of course b6 is threatening, but after king d6 b6 and king c5 again white cannot make any progress in here. It is exactly the same defending idea as we have already seen. But in this position black preferred to go king d7 first. So first to go on the queen side with his king, but here white could have win. But he has chosen the bad pawn. He has played a4, which is drawing, but after b4 white would be winning. The problem is that after king c7 white is playing very important king a5 move, and here for example after bishop g3 it is just b5 bishop f2 and king a6, and of course it is quite clear that this is a bad position for black, because now white is just going to play a4 a5 followed by b6, and it seems easily losing for black. But after king b8 again b5 is playing by white, and in fact the only try for black is bishop a3. So so white cannot go a4. But after b6, king c8, king a6, king b8, white is just playing bishop e4, and after king c8, king a7 easily. And of course white is threatening b7 followed by b8, but after bishop c5, e4, a4 is playing, followed by a5, a6, and so on, and again white is easily winning in here. But after king d7, white has chosen e4, and the idea after that b4 move, or how you can choose the right move in here, is that you should know that you can win only if you can pass your b pawn to b6. So in fact the b pawn is more important here, and it means that a pawn can wait. So that's the reason why you should always choose b pawn in positions like that, not a pawn. So that is the mistake white made in here. And after a4, also bishop g3 was possible. Maybe it was even better way. And after king b6, just check on f2, king b7, bishop e1, and in fact this is even easier draw than in the first variation. But after a4, king c7 is also possible, because after b4, king b8, a5, king e7, white king has no more a6 square, which is important. And after king c4, bishop g3, here after b5, black is just playing bishop e1, and after b6, king a6. And here is important that white king is not on a4, he's on c4, so not only bishop but also king is attacking a5 pawn, and the position is a draw. And after king b3, this is already quite a known situation for us. Again, bishop is attacking both pawns by bishop e1, and after king a4, just bishop d2, bishop h1, bishop e1, and after b5, of course, bishop f2, covering b6 square. And after b6, black is easily taken on b6, and black is drawing because, as we mentioned, the fact that white would have his last pawn, which would be a rook pawn with a bad bishop. So after b6, taking on b6, black is easily going to the h8 square with a draw. But white cannot make any difference. For example, after bishop e2, bishop e3, king b3. Here, of course, white would like to play king c4, d5, c6, followed by b6. But of course, black easily played bishop d2 in the game. And after b6 here, king b7, king a4, king c6. And again, making our known defending idea with bishop on this diagonal, attacking a5 pawn, and king on c5, protecting b5 square. And after bishop e8, bishop e1, the game was drawn, because white understood he cannot go any farther. After b7, of course, black is playing bishop g3, and there is no other way for white. So very nice example of a practical game between two strong players, and as we could have seen, both of them made a mistake in an endgame, or in a position which looks like, let's say, quite clear, but as you can see, it is really not so easy. And this is already a situation which needs to be played precisely by both sides. So this is a really important defending idea with that king maneuver to c5 or to f5 as in the previous example. So be aware of it. If you didn't know it, now you know it, and of course remember it, please. And this is everything from part 3 of opposite card bishops. Thank you for watching, thank you for liking my videos, and of course thank you for liking and watching Royal Chess YouTube channel. See you next time at part 3.